If you're wondering why I have my hatch open and you're hoping that finally we're gonna have something to do with the car, you're absolutely right. We have new stuff to install. Only downside is that today is a very windy day, so hopefully it's not picking up any of this, but I'll probably do the product review. So first things first is out with the old, replacing the catch can. And yes, it is a new catch can, but you get to see why I'm excited about it. So what you're definitely going to need to do this is a Allen wrench set, which you want at least a 2.5, a 3.0, and an undisclosed size, which you'll see later in the video. Wrench wise, you're going to want a 10 millimeter, and the other one I used was a 3/4 inch, but I'll specify the millimeter size for that here. And lastly, you're going to obviously need Phillips and flathead screwdrivers. So those are the only tools that you'll probably need to finish off this whole kit, and I'll explain as we go. But yeah, before we start, again, an Allen wrench set with a 2.5, 3.0, and an undisclosed size that's larger, Phillips and flathead screwdrivers, and a 10 millimeter and 3/4 inch wrench to get things done, along with the socket, just to make your life easier. Let's get straight into this. Hey, round two. So this time it's not windy, as you can probably tell. It's the next day. Fortunately, there's not a crap ton of wind to interfere, and I don't know, it just feels like the world is on our side today. So I'm going to mount the catch cans to the bracket first, and then mount obviously the catch cans with the bracket onto the car. For those of you that couldn't tell yesterday, we removed obviously the old one. And then we're just gonna route the hoses. This should be relatively easy for us since we already had the original catch can on. But again, for those of you guys that are new to the channel or just tuning in, I'll make sure to show you guys where each can routes. And if you were to do a single catch can install, which one I'd personally recommend to route to rather than the other options. So let's get straight into it. And if you can see this person bumbling around back there, we got some help today. So let's go. So we got the catch cans back here. I busted out the bracket. So for those of you who are going to ask, that's the right way, because obviously you want to see the logo when you mount it. So one can will be mounted here and the other one will be mounted here. The cool thing about these cans is that they have multiple mounting points. So these are the stock little brackets that come included for universal fitment, but we're going to basically align them where we need to. So we're going to get straight into that. Give me a second and we'll show you the finished result. So I have my Allen key or Allen wrench or whatever, and I have the two cans here. So obviously when you buy them, they're both mounted there. Just as a note, one of them is going to be mounted one side over, or one bolt over, here and here, and that's going to be the left can. And then when we mount the right can, it's actually going to be mounted all the way to the left. So I'm going to show you the finished product, but I'm just kind of giving you guys note to know where you start off. Also, kind of one way to make your life easier is make sure to take out the dipsticks if you don't have clearance, because that way you can just keep on rotating. As I just learned right now, it kind of runs into it. So yeah, just kind of helping you guys out with some tips. Also, if you're wondering and kind of skeptical about the actual screws themselves, they are pretty long for what they are, and they're pretty tough in there, especially with the threading. So like I said, all of this is extremely sturdy. Even this, when I try to bend it, even though it looks thin, it's really it's really sturdy, it's really strong. So I have full confidence that even though these cans are a little bit heavy, you won't have any issues. Alright, so recap from yesterday, if you remember, we removed the old can assembly. That new bracket with the catch cans is actually going to mount here. So we'll remove this and the ground carefully, and then we'll install the bracket with the ground back on and tighten that up. In the meantime, these are the hoses that we're going to the old can. I'm going to start loosening them up so we can get ready for the new hoses. So let's get to that. Alright, so the first one is up here from the valve cover, and then the other one, I don't know if you'll be able to tell, but it is down here with the little coupler connected. So should be relatively easy, and I already smell that I had the issue with over here. So we'll start loosening those up so that way we can get rid of these hoses and put the new ones on. So as I took off the hose, just to prove to you guys how useful something like this is, all that came pouring out. So yeah, there is definitely a purpose to having an oil catch can. It's definitely something that can save or give your engine at least a little bit more longevity. Alright, so yay, beautiful. This is the finished product. So this is where it's going to mount to the ground section that I was just showing you a few seconds earlier. This is what it should look like when it's fully mounted. And look, again, as I'm holding one can, that piece is really sturdy. It's not going anywhere. And if you don't believe me, there you go. Super sturdy. Excited. So now we're going to mount the fittings, and then we will actually mount the cans, and then from there we'll do the hoses, just to kind of make our life a little easier. Really excited though. This looks awesome. Alright, so now we got our fittings, and again, ADGW1 has a really nice setup. So we open the bag that was in one of the catch cans boxes. We'll repeat this for the other fittings. But yeah, again, attention to detail, everything's there, making your life super easy. Don't have to do any of the custom stuff that I did the first time around. So just demonstrating that. Let's get these fittings on. So more details on the kit, because obviously these are things I'm discovering as we're installing, is attention to detail. I just keep on getting impressed more and more. So these, when I went in there, I thought they were plastic, and that was my assumption based off of my original oil catch can setup. But these are nice black metal. So yeah, just the quality speaks for itself. You obviously will put them in. Again, ADDW1 recommends using Teflon tape, or I guess if you want to, you can use some of your sealant, just to make sure that one, it seals nice and you have no leaks, just in case. But these things seem to be pretty well on there. Once I get to it, I'll show you the finished product. We'll tighten them, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, geez, the attention to quality, guys. All right, next bit of information before we tighten these up is you'll notice that these are all the same size except for this one, and this larger one I specifically put on the outside. So again, I'm pretty sure we'll figure it out once we start mounting it. My brain is a little fried, so I haven't really seen the connectors right now, but that is technically for the catch can that will be connecting to the so this one is actually the catch can that's technically going to be connected towards the actual intake side. These are the ones that are going to be going for the PCV side. So again, the outlet is the one that requires a slightly larger one, and as you can see right there, it says outlet. So in case you're wondering, per the instructions, they all tell you that these all require 9mm, 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 15mm outlet on the CCV side, which is the catch can and the intake side. So again, we're going to tighten these up, but when you guys are installing them, make sure all the small ones go, but the outside can, 15mm, will go on the outlet side. So yeah. Alright guys, so they're already nice seated and fitted. One thing that you could do obviously to make your life easier is seat these before you actually do the process, but this is what the finished setup looks like. We're about to go install them. What I ended up using, because this is the largest one I had, was a 3/4 inch wrench to tighten them up. Again, these are metal, so you shouldn't have really any issues or concern of breaking them, but I would say hand tight, don't over tighten. Again, you might want to do it without the brackets installed and everything, just so you don't scratch up the can. But we got these nice and seated on there. Forgive me because I didn't have a large enough metric one. If I had to guess, I'd probably say it's way up there, say past 16mm. So you guys could do the math. I'll try to figure out converting 3/4, and I'll put the description on the video, but into metric. But anyways, we're finally going to get to mount this, and then the hoses are the easiest part. One thing that I did notice that I'll go over in a moment is that everything else is really going to be super easy plug and play. The only one that you're going to have to be a little concerned with is, once again, the one going to the PCV side, as that one's going to require some sort of coupler. So yeah, let's get straight into that. All right, so we're back under the hood. We removed the hoses and everything. First things first, 10mm to where the ground bolts on. Obviously, make sure to set it to the off, and then we're just going to tighten it. We're going to loosen it up and remove it, and then mount with the nice washer and bolt that they included, and obviously the cans themselves. So let's go. All right, so one thing that I want to show you guys is that once you remove the ground, you'll notice that it has this little prong right here on the side where my finger's touching. Well, where it mounts up, it grounds, obviously. So the best thing you're going to want to do, because there's no way that you can actually have that all touching this contact point, is you're gonna have to mount the catch cans on top. Alright guys, so as you can see, we finally bolted and mounted the oil catch cans. Forgive the hoses, because I'm just kind of trying to pre-route them and see how these are all gonna fit. But this is the finished product with it mounted. One thing to note is that the ground is wrapped really heavily right here, and it's a little hard to bend, but you are able to bend it. Originally, I had mounted the ground in front of the can in between them, and it wasn't really sightly, so I made sure to basically bend it as best as possible. And now the ground, even though you can still see it, it actually routes through the back, and there's the remaining portion of it. So now we're basically gonna clamp down the kit with the correct hoses, route them, so I'll show you that, and then we will clamp it down. Just to let you know, this is a hose to the top of the valve cover, and then it routes down to the PCV side. So on my setup, if you can see that gold connector right there, that is what the hose I'm connecting to. But if you literally follow that, yeah, you can see it there, this hose all the way down here, that's the bottom portion where you would connect to. The reason why they give you a coupler is it's easier to reuse that hose. See how it's like that? It's gonna be a lot easier to just mount a coupler between this hose rather than do it straight to where it connects down here. And then the other things that make your life easier is to remove this hose from the intake, again, connect into the valve cover, so that way all those are out of the way and you can easily mount the new hoses, which we're about to do right now. Alright guys, sit rep. Basically what we did was we mounted the hose for the can that gets connected to the valve cover and to the intake. So as you can see, the inlet is actually the one that's going to the valve cover, and then the outlet goes back into the intake per their instructions. So that's how we have it routed right now. Alright, so all the hoses are routed correctly. So now we already put a hose clamp here, and that's to basically put the new coupler. You notice on mine I had to cut a little bit because of the previous coupler. It was kind of a pain to take out. So fortunately, ADDW1 gives you a perfect coupler to match both hose sizes. So we'll put the first one in there, and then we will basically route the other one that's hanging here with the hose clamp already. Alrighty guys, so as you can see, you can barely see the coupler there. We pushed it as best as we could. Be aware that the bottom is angled. The bottom should fit perfectly fine because obviously they got the right measurements. On mine, it ended up the tiniest amount short because again I had to cut the hose, but perfect match. And as you can see, we have both hose clamps tightly attached and routed the correct ways. So there we go. Just a little tip of advice for anybody doing this: make sure that you guys double check your hose clamps and your hose lengths. I know some of you guys might go all gung-ho into this, kind of like I did at first, and let me tell you, everything is measured perfectly in a specific way, especially since the catch cans came in 2 boxes. Each box was designed to be per each side with the correct size hose and clamps, including the adapters. So again, just pay attention to details, because obviously they did, and they did an amazing, phenomenal job. Everything routes perfectly. You might see a lot of hose and you might think that's quite a bit of a mess, but you know what? That's why we have the engine cover for. So we're gonna put the engine cover, clean it up a little bit, make it look more presentable, and then yeah, we'll show you the finished product. So let me clean that up real quick. So this is what the finished product looks like. Obviously this is without me mounting the cover back on. Everything is nicely fastened. I just have to tighten these hose clamps, and those hose clamps are all part of the kit, which is great. However, we're gonna go a little bit more bougie. There are a lot of options that ADDW1 offer with this kit that are all optional and extra. Some of them include different colored rings, so if you ever want to switch it up, you have that ability. But I'm gonna show you one that I personally like, so that's why these aren't tightened yet. So let me show you. So to go a little above and beyond, I got the matching color hose clamps, and the cool thing is they sell them in both sizes. So this one is specifically for the 2 9mm hoses, and this one specifically for the 9 and the 15. So with the matching little washer over here and the collars having the ADDW1 logo, it finishes and nicely accents your build. Again, that's optional. There's a few other optional things that they have that you can buy off their site, like you can buy additional colored dipsticks if you want to match that, the hose clamps, the collars, and even some other cool stuff like drain kits, which hopefully I'll get to test out real soon. But that's it, guys. That is the complete install of the ADDW1 V3 dual oil catch can kit. Guys, so we are finally done. Thankfully, the weather was so much more pleasant today. It was nice that it was nice and chilly as well today, just, you know, not heavy winds, so that's awesome. We got this install done. I'm gonna post another video because this install obviously went a little long with everything I had to do. Just kind of going over the product itself, because I know in this one I just installed it. I didn't take it apart for you guys and everything. Let me tell you, it is an amazing kit. I'm super satisfied and super excited with it. Huge shout out and thank you to ADDW1 for, you know, being so generous and helpful with this. I'm in love with the kit. Obviously, like I said, it's super high quality. The fitment and everything, attention to detail was perfect. So for those of you guys looking to do as minimal work as possible, this is probably the kit for you, because you don't really have to go looking around for, do I have the right hose clamp? Do I have the right hose? Do I have the right fitting? I'm gonna have to get a fitting that's, you know, one size larger on one end and one size smaller on the other end, as I had to do originally in my last, you know, setup that I kind of did myself. And then obviously I also had to do a custom bracket. And then keep in mind, even at one point, well, towards the end of the year, my issue was the fact that one of the hoses was leaking, because unfortunately it was a lot larger in diameter than where it was being fastened to. So this kit took all of those issues into consideration and made sure you had the right hose to the right outlet. So that was really awesome. It's something that I personally feel they obviously thought of, you know, before just kind of throwing a kit together and calling it done. Again, not to bash the other company, because it was a universal kit that I had last time. So it was just a catch can by itself. I had to do everything on my own. But if you're generally new at this is the thing, guys. You get what you pay for. Last time I paid for a high quality catch can, but again, that's all I paid for. It wasn't a full complete kit. I had to piece everything myself. Can you get cheaper catch cans out there? Absolutely. Big disclaimer, they're not going to be baffled, so you'll have to figure out something like that. And again, it's not hard. You can kind of come up with your own solution, but also keep in mind that you're going to have to custom mount it yourself. For those of you guys out there that are savvy enough to be able to do things like that, work with welding and things like that, you could obviously take the cheaper out and do it yourself. For those of you guys that don't have the experience and just want something a little more simple and straight to the point, this kit is exactly that and more. And honestly, even if you are experienced, this kit is just gonna alleviate so many headaches, because this car, guys, the biggest meme that you're gonna see out there is that, hey, this install should only take about 30 minutes to an hour, and then 5 hours later, you know, you're just having the biggest headache, having friends take you to go get a tool that you thought you didn't need, you know, the parts that you were missing. Just, there's so much headache to it. And again, this was so straightforward. My life was made a little easier because I had the original catch can on there, but this kit itself, had I not had it, just super easy, super straight to the point, straight bolt on. So again, thanks, huge shout out to ADDW1, my rep Jack. And as always, guys, thank you for all the love and support, and I'll see you in the next video. And again, thanks for your patience. We finally got videos coming. Bye. So first thing, whoa, gosh, the wind would pick up. So first things first.